And then here's the big one. You're so afraid because you don't have any authority to turn to. You don't have anything reliable that you can trust, and you're just scared to death. You feel like you are on your own, especially if you're going to go against the system that you've been supported. You know what they do to people who are outcasts. From New Life Ministries, this is Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn. I'm Stephen Arterburn. And Going Deeper is all about taking the tough issues, the hard issues of life, looking a little bit deeper inside so that we can gain some insight into our lives. Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for joining me for Going Deeper. We're talking about toxic faith. Before I get to the latter stages of toxic faith, I want to read you a little excerpt from the book, Toxic Faith. You can get that book at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But the title of this is, Would You Join a Cult? It says this: along with the deception involved in a cult's push for new recruits, there's an emotional and psychological status of the potential recruit. One point that I want to make is that anyone can be gotten. Not all the time, but we're all vulnerable at some point in our lives. You're a raw nerve, and along comes a warm, caring, non-threatening individual, usually a member of the opposite sex, who says, I understand. I've been there too. I go to a group that has really helped me. Often your circumstance may not even be extreme, but you're just slightly off balance. I think it's a good caution. And it also helps us to not be judgmental about people that get caught up in toxic faith systems, cults and sects and things like that. It could happen literally to anyone. In the latter stages of a religious addiction, in fact, in the latter stage of any addiction, there's tremendous despair. There's a sense of hopelessness. All the promises that you thought would come true aren't. And you don't know what to do because you've cut off so much from other people. Maybe you've given all of your ways to exist to the organization. You have no savings. You have no financial means of support. And so it can be pretty serious in the area of despair. And sometimes people take their own lives in that despair. There's erratic behavior. You know something is wrong. You try to fix it. You try to get better, but you can't. And so one day you're full of energy, ready to change everything. And the next day you're depressed and nobody can get to you. You start to have resentment and bitterness and anger. Life is just so much worse than you thought. You're kind of coming out of denial and getting in touch with some feelings in these latter stages. And you've really become obsessed with the organization, with the beliefs that are actually, you're wondering what's wrong with these beliefs. Are they wrong? You're starting to hear some of the voices outside of the group, and you get very depressed. When the beliefs that you had collapse, or the people that you believed in collapse, then you can have tremendous depression, anxiety, and not knowing what you're going to do next. And you can see it on the faces of people. They start to deteriorate. They lose weight or they gain weight, and it becomes obvious that something is really bad inside. There's so much turmoil. So, you search for another fix through some of the other addictions that develop. And then here's the big one. You're so afraid because you don't have any authority to turn to. You don't have anything reliable that you can trust, and you're just scared to death. You feel like you are on your own, especially if you're going to go against the system that you've been supported. You know what they do to people who are outcasts. So this fear is based in reality, but you're afraid to continue in the system because you're afraid it's going to get worse. Afraid to stay in, afraid to stay out. It's a pretty scary place to be. Of course, I mentioned the financial collapse and then family deterioration. The family that you're in the religious organization, it could be your own, starts to fight and turn against each other. Or the family outside, they may even consider you the outcast and you have no ties because you've been so mean to them, trying to, lure them in with love and belonging, and then the next time lecturing, you get out of control and you're angry. And then finally, you hit bottom and you reach a point where you have to say, I can't deal with this anymore. I don't have a good solid grip on reality, and I must reach out and get some help if things are going to return to normal. Just don't forget that little article I read at the beginning. Anybody could get caught up in something like this. Not that you have these extreme problems, but you're just a little off balance. And the person that is practicing toxic faith, they sense that. It's almost like a sixth sense that this person is vulnerable, they're lonely, isolated, or just the fact that these people really are off balance. And so they go right after you. Any of us could fall prey at the wrong time, in the wrong place, with the wrong people. So I pray for anybody that has fallen into a toxic faith system, a cult, a sect, an organization led by somebody whose motives are totally selfish and focused on themselves, getting the people to serve them rather than the head serving the people. Next time, we'll start talking about some of the different rules that come up in a toxic faith system. I hope you'll join me then. Until then, have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for Going Deeper. I hope something I've said may have helped just a little bit. If you have a question you'd like me to answer or comment, just email me at stevesocial@newlife.com. I'll see you next time.
If you want to support Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. And if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, be sure to share it with them. See you on the next Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries.